Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. At that time, Jesus and his disciples came to the other side of the sea, to the country of the Gerasenes. And when he had come out of the boat, there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit, who lived among the tombs. And no one could bind him any more, even with a chain. For he had often been bound with shackles and chains, but the chains were wrenched apart, and the shackles he broke in pieces. And no one had the strength to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and on the mountains he would always cry out and bruise himself with stones. And when he saw Jesus from afar, he ran and worshipped him, and crying out with a loud voice, he said, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I adjure you by God, do not torment me." For he had said to him, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." And Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" He replied, "My name is Legion, for we are many." And he begged him very eagerly not to send them out of the country. Now a great herd of swine was feeding there on the hillside, and they begged him, "Send us to the swine, let us enter them." So he gave them leave. And the unclean spirits came out and entered the swine and the herd, numbering about 2,000, rushing down the steep bank into the sea, and were drowned in the sea. The herdsmen fled, and told it in the city and in the country, and people came to see what it was that had happened. And they came to Jesus and saw the demoniac sitting there, clothed and in his right senses, the man who had had the legion. And they were afraid. And those who had seen it told what had happened to the demoniac and to the swine. And they began to beg Jesus to depart from their neighborhood. And as he was getting into the boat, the man who had been possessed with demons begged him that he might be with him. But Jesus refused and said to him, "Go home to your friends and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you." And he went away and began to proclaim in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and all men marveled. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Sufficiently, I know the one whom I have come to love. I know the one whom I have come to worship and to choose as my God. Truly, people are choosing their gods today, but we are lucky in this part of the world that we have been exposed to the God of creation, to the God of salvation, to the God of mercy and compassion, to the God of all perfection. There is no iota of imperfection in this God. And I am elated, to say the least. You know, why shouldn't anyone of the New Testament covenant not be confident about this God? Look, the people of old had not even seen anything at all. When they were able to hold such marvels of faith as espoused by the first reading of today, the book of Hebrews. You see how powerfully the book of Hebrews explained their faith. Hebrews chapter 11 from verse 32 to verse 40. We have the eulogization of human beings like you and I who carried out great feats. They named Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, David, Samuel, and the prophets. These were men who through faith conquered kingdoms, did what was right, and earned their promises. They could keep a lion's mouth shut, put out blazing flames, and emerged unscathed from battle. They were weak people who were given strength to be brave in war and drive back foreign invaders. Some came back to their wives as if they have come from the dead by resurrection, and others submitted to torture. Some refused to be released so that they would rise again to a better life. Some had to bear being pillowed and flogged or even chained up in prison. They were stoned. Some of them were sawed in half. Go and find out the prophets that they did that to. Some of them were beheaded. They were homeless. Some of them dressed in the skins of sheep and goats. Many were penniless, were given nothing but ill treatment. Many of them were too good for the world, that they went out to live in the deserts and mountains and in the caves and ravines. These are the people the book of Hebrew calls the heroes of faith. Heroes of faith. What did they see? God made provisions for us to have something even better. You'd imagine. I mean, all these people just only with few voices. What did Abraham even see? Just a voice. Just a voice moved that man. And Jesus Christ was quick to tell the people then that you have something greater than Abraham here. You have something greater than Moses here. You have something greater than Barak. You have something greater than the prophets. You have something greater than Jonah. You have someone greater than Solomon. Jesus said that. My dear brothers and sisters, if you have not seen your victory, it is important to just focus on Jesus alone. The regions of darkness felt in the gospel passage of today that Jesus was going to send them to the final condemnation. It means that the person that we call our God is the one who holds the keys of death and of hell. Sometimes I believe very much that if our love is competent enough, we may even be able to drag somebody out of hellfire because of Jesus Christ. Because for me, I don't believe any doctrine is bigger than who Jesus Christ is. Doctrines are meant to understand him, but he is bigger than the tool by which we attempt to understand him. If Jesus Christ said, for God all things, not some, all things are possible, I am looking forward to a God who will never disgrace me, because it is impossible for Satan to succeed in his investment over the innocent children of the world. Well, it's the reason why we who say are faithful need to do our own part. We need to do our own part, no matter how small it is. Don't look at yourself small. Your prayer can save a whole nation. Your prayer can save your entire family. Don't look at yourself as small. Your prayer can save a child that is destined for hellfire, for instance. Don't look at your prayers as unimportant. Remove your eyes from the littleness of your prayers and yourself and focus your eyes on the person Jesus Christ is. The prophets of old didn't have it this beautiful. They didn't have someone around like Jesus Christ who went on healing the sick, raising the dead, cleansing lepers, driving out demons. Those were by far very extraneous things that were never heard in the Old Testament. Driving out demons. Driving out demons. It means someone who now physically conquers the devil is now available. That is the Jesus Christ that we come to worship every single day. We have to really start focusing on his face. But do not forget the first things. The first thing is to fight for purity. And even that purity itself, you need the assistance of Jesus Christ himself to succeed in it. And so we are lucky to have an advocate who is able to intercede for us in every sense. There is nothing that is left, my dear friends. You are in heaven if you are in Jesus.